All right, good morning, everyone. So my name is Ryan Hanna. I'm the founder and VP of Product and Engineering at Sorkit. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we bootstrapped our company to 25 million downloads to date. So back in 2012, I was teaching myself to code using Code Academy and just trying to, build a new skill. And I started to kind of pick a project that I wanted to work on. So I thought it would help me learn. So I chose to pick a project which would just help me get a workout wherever I was. So started building it, had a goal. Well, I didn't even want to build an app first, and then it just started to happen. Decided to put it out there. My goal was 100 downloads. And from there, just kind of like started doing some things we're going to talk about here, some just free ways to market the app. So just by getting it out there, building up a bit of confidence to build some traction by doing some things like influencer outreach, and was able to build that to now where we are now. So we're going to talk all about that story and how we got there. So this is Sorkit Now. It's fitness plans and workouts that anyone can do. We have delivered over 50 million workouts to users, so that's what we really care about. I'm using downloads today just because it's an easier number to look at. But we're in 13 different languages, 7 different apps, and all of this has happened. We're actually just a team of 6 still. So we're going to break this down into 3 different sections. They're kind of, milestones for where we were growing. So the first one is kind of how did we got to the first 2 million? That was actually just me working on it for a few years as a side project. So, as a side project, getting to 2 million, getting to 10 million as a team of 3 of us, and then growing since then, how we kind of really kind of built that momentum up all the way, past the 10 to the 25. Okay, so the first thing I like to think about anytime I'm trying to, whether we're doing our outreach or we're thinking about advertising is, put yourself in the position of the consumer. So where are they going to find your app? Think of the blogs that you might read if you're looking for, say, a fitness app. Think of where you may be on Facebook, or if you're on Twitter, where you've seen similar things, and start to kind of focus that energy towards that, because you'll be comfortable with it and you'll be able to make a lot more progress that way. So don't just think of getting it all out there to a whole bunch of random users. Just really think about what part of the journey they're at. So the biggest thing that I've found, especially in terms of free, is influencer outreach. So, for 0 cost, obviously it wins in terms of ROI. So anytime you can get out there, be heard about, you're going to really take your app and your whatever product you're working on to the next level. So kind of just the key things that have really helped me along the way with this is making sure this is highly targeted to an individual. So what I mean by this whole influencer outreach is thinking about where you want to be written about and then going after it. So thinking about a blog that you might be looking at, don't think of taking like the contact@blogname.com or info@blogname.com or filling out their forms. Try and find the exact author of a similar article and then find that person and then get in touch with them directly. Try and personalize that contact with them. Start with you if you can. So anytime you can say, I read the similar article, if you can say something great to them, make them feel awesome and they want to keep reading your email, that's always good. Keep it short, so get right to the point. Try and relate it to their audience. So as much as you can do, this is kind of what we pay PR people to do for us, is kind of write the story and tell this publication why it would be good for their audience. So try and relate it to their audience, whatever you're selling them, or just getting them to download. Quickly tell them how to get more information, and then provide any images and codes if you can. Don't bloat the email too much though. Just as an example then, so this was back in 2012 when I was still at that goal of 100 downloads. It instantly went from 100 to 10,000 just with this one tweet that I sent kind of directly at this person who I knew had been doing similar things at Lifehacker, and they wrote about it, and that was the exciting moment for me where it was sitting there with all the numbers flashing going by. So it really does work. The one thing I'll say about it is sometimes it also doesn't work. So there's an emotional toll if you're trying this all the time and you start to get, nobody's replying or that sort of thing. Don't worry about it. Just spread it out over time and keep going. So don't give up on it. So another thing early on in this first 2 million downloads was partnerships and collaborations. So what we did was we reached out to a couple of companies. So we started working with MyFitnessPal. So obviously an app that had millions of users, and we tried to think, how could we get SoarKit in front of them? So that was about being able to use their API to upload our workouts to their system so that everybody sees it in their feed. Then they just talk about you in their blog. So anything you can do to reach out to them if you want to ask to do a guest post on their blog, just try and get in front of bigger audiences. So ASO, you're going to hear a lot more about this. I just want to say, first few, even years, just use it as an experiment. I mean, continually change every update. Just keep trying things. We haven't actually changed ours now in at least a year, just because now we started to own some of the keywords that we wanted to, like workout app. So we own that in the US. And yeah, so just keep at it. Use it as an experiment, and that's the biggest thing you can do to learn. Okay, so kind of getting past that 2 million, started working with some other people on the app, and this is where we were trying to just get bigger and bigger. So kind of we had like a more of a long-term goal. So talking about the influencer outreach again, start searching for your app on the internet and just what category you're in, and start to find out, okay, these top lists are coming up in the Google search results. So how do I get on that list next year? So it's always going to be top 10 workout apps of 2016. How do I make it onto 2017? So go ahead, reach out to that author, ask if you can, just show them a little bit of your app, and hopefully you'll just get considered for the next year. So those just always they always turn up really well in SEO, and the more of those, the better. Another thing was doing competitive analysis. So we have our own roadmap, and we have ideas of what we want to do, but we do some competitive analysis to kind of verify those ideas. The biggest thing is taking a look at, so in our category, health and fitness, taking a look at people who are grossing really well. So obviously they're doing something, they're retaining their users, they're convincing their users to pay, comparing that to the free charts. So say someone in the free charts is at 120, but in the grossing charts they're at like 20. So there's something going on there that they're getting a conversion rate of probably like 10% of their users converting to paying. So just kind of compare those two lists to see what you can do. If they're in the top 5 of each, you won't see much, but we started doing this with workout plans. It was something we knew we wanted to do, but to really like put the 5-6 months into actually doing it just really, really well, we just needed to verify that a little bit in advance. So that was important for us, kind of growing, as well as growing our business and getting to profitability. All right, so another thing you can do in some situations is building complementary apps. So what we did is we built 6 kind of like mini versions of our apps. So just arms, so just kind of like smaller portions of it. Also built a kids app and everything. So it just really expanded. So instead of having 100 characters for our keywords, now we have 600, 700 characters. So we're able to spread that out, then funnel them all into the app that we want to later. And that's worked out really well for us. Okay, so then kind of getting into all right, we're growing up a bit. So, within the past 2 years where we've gone, so when we think about, so this is when we actually started thinking a bit more about some paid marketing and those options. And we started to kind of relate them to, there's 5 stages of building a fitness habit that you'll see on the next slide. And this whole process of where people are in their journey when they're actually going out and searching for something applies to any type of app. You just have to change it around a little bit. So just think about where the user is in their download cycle. So we have the pre-contemplative stage. So that's where you're not really thinking about it. So this is where you want to try and just catch them in maybe just blogs that they're reading or publications they're reading, newspapers, that sort of thing. You may want to just spend as little as possible for these people. So just getting them to your website, just trying to get some brand awareness. So then the contemplative stage for a user is where they understand they need something, and now they're actively going out and searching for it. So here's where we want to focus on the Google search ads, Apple search ads, even things like Pinterest, where people are just thinking of, again, like where you're going when you're actually saying, oh, I want an app that does this. So try and catch them at that point. The preparation stage is where they're narrowing down their options. So sometimes in some categories, they're going to download 4 or 5 apps, then start to figure out which one they actually want to use. So this is where Facebook, your Facebook pixel and that sort of thing to kind of reactivate, get back in the top of their mind is going to be important. Action stage is when they're actually trying it. We don't do any marketing here. We just focus on in-app messaging. So in-app messaging as opposed to, say, email or push, like if they're in that experience for the first time, really try and talk to them, really trying to build that confidence that you're the right solution for them and make them feel like they understand what your app is doing. Last would be the maintenance stage. Here's where we do shift back to focusing on push and email. They've already started to build their habit, people who kind of work out a few times a week. And we're just trying to keep them going, keep them wanting to share the app. And then if we really need to, if we do lose them, we can always reactivate them. So this little section, we're trying to do some live marketing. Well, sort of. Like you watch the Food Network or something, and I had to kind of pre-bake it beforehand because we weren't sure how it was going to work. So I know this is only going to take 4.5 minutes. That's good. So I was looking around at the attendees list. I found an app called Glued. I hope they don't mind. Who has Glued? I hope they don't mind I'm talking about this. Don't really know it yet. So we're just going to show you how this can actually work in real life. So this is kind of when it was, I was just starting out and just trying to really build from nothing and spend nothing. So this is the process. So going to take the Glue website. Maybe I have to hit that. Oh no. Can you hit play on that? Possibly 10 anyways. So I know it by heart. We're good. So the idea is I could go to anyone here's website. I could look at there, and I would go directly to your App Store page. So from an App Store page is where you start to find competitor apps. All right. So you're starting to find out, kind of what Apple and Google think are your competitors, people who are doing well in that industry. And then what we do from there is you can either start clicking on those links, so open up all of those other apps and tabs, and then you can also just search for certain things. So I did a search for, so this is an app where you can actually kind of track your screen time, can kind of compete against your family. So screen tracking apps, just see what comes up on Google. There's another app called Moment that came up first. So clicked on Moment, it brings up the iOS App Store. Okay, so kind of look through it, make sure it's a decent app, good feedback from it. And then when you go to the App Store page, it always has the developer's website. Just click on that, brings up their website. I always look first for, say, a press page. So a lot of times you'll have a press link at the bottom. So you're just trying to find out where they've been written about and then try and go after those same places. So there's kind of a lower barrier for entry, like someone's already written about it, there's already been that author, and then we can go ahead in, click on an article. So this one actually had an article from BBC. Someone named Matthew Wall had written the article about it. So from there's a couple places you can do. So now I want to find Matthew Wall. So I just search Matthew Wall BBC in Google. First thing that comes up is his Twitter account. So if I can sell what I'm trying to do in 140 characters, then I'm going to be in a pretty good place. So you can always tweet at them. Another option is you can just look up email address validator, just search for that, and there's a whole bunch of options that come up. So these are tools that let you kind of start guessing. So it's, I don't think it's creepy at all, but so you just basically start to guess. I mean, a lot of times in an organization, it's going to be first name dot last name at whatever.com, or first initial last name, or just first name. So with this individual, just started searching Matthew.Wall at bbc.co.uk. The validators come up and they're like, okay, no, that doesn't, that's not a real email address. Type in the next one, mwall at bbc.co.uk. This is you see the green check mark, and it's like, this one is probably an okay address. So from there, you've been able to kind of find this person, and you'll be able to reach out to them directly. So this is just going to help you to personalize that email, get in front of the exact person who's already familiar with a similar app to yours, and kind of pitch what you're doing instead. The other thing that I really like is Twitter's search. So if I'm just looking for this kind of app, so I want to look for blogs that are like parenting tech blogs. So search for parenting tech, and Twitter has a people's search tab, so you can actually filter by people. And then from there, you just get a giant list of people who are showing up high and who are writing articles about parenting. You can find people within that. Click on their profile, go to their website, find out how to email them directly. So, I mean, every single person that you can get to write about your app early on is just going to make a huge difference. You know, you're starting off, you're talking in tens, hundreds, thousands. I mean, they all count. Even at our size now, we still care about these. We really want to target, you know, dad blogs because you want to get rid of that dad bod, that sort of thing. Like, you know, we know those users convert. We want to keep working on those, and we're not afraid to keep kind of reaching out and continuing this. So that's kind of the story of how Sworkit got to where it was, to where we are now, and hopefully it will continue to go on from here. I would love to hear your stories and talk to you about wherever you are in your cycle, and I hope you all have an awesome day. Cool? Thank you.